I'm all for public assurance. I want the public to know what's going on inside of their public schools. They should know because they're paying for it, and they should know what kind of quality the schools have. Where we go wrong, though, is when we try to use something as conveniently tidy as standardized tests to measure something that is so magnificently messy, which is learning and children who are learning. Public assurance can be about accountability, but I think accountability needs to be less about test and punish and rank and sort the schools and more about transparency. The public absolutely needs the information, access to the information that they need to know about what's going on and the quality of their schools. But in order to have more accountability, that means we need to have more transparency, which means we need less standardized testing. We need learning to be more transparent, more visible. And when we have kids writing tests by filling in bubbles, I don't think we are making learning transparent. I think we're hiding it behind shorthand, like A's and B's and 76%. I would rather have the children's learning speak for itself. The best feedback any parent can get about their children's learning is to see their children learning. Ask any parent what their long-term goals are for their children. Ask any teacher what their long-term goals are for their students. And you're going to hear things like we want children to be happy and to be creative and to be critical thinkers, autonomous, responsible, to be intelligent thinkers and people who can do things, who are capable and confident and competent. These are all very impressive long-term goals that are all very difficult to quantify, but that doesn't make them unimportant. It just makes them more difficult to figure out if they're actually happening. We have to move away from simply valuing what we can measure, which is what standardized tests do really well, measuring what's easily measurable, to measuring what we value. And the bad news is that these things that are most important to us aren't necessarily easily measurable. But the good news is they are always observable. We can always observe them and we can always describe them. And that's precisely why we need to see assessment and accountability less as spreadsheets and more as conversations that need to happen between teacher and parents and who are the public. I'm hesitant to use the workplace analogy for school. I don't think we should be sending kids to school to do a job, to learn, and pay them with grades. I think that there's many reasons why this is a dangerous analogy, but my favorite is that in the workplace the product is the point. For the most part, employers are not going to care or ask too much about how you have created a really innovative product. The point is that you made it, and so it's going to be successful. In school, it's the opposite, and for good reason. We care less about the product, and we care more about the process, and we care more about what we've learned in the process. And that's because when children are learning, when anyone's learning, we are will tend not to be very successful. We will make a lot of mistakes. There will be all sorts of failures along the way. And we have to make sure that we make the process the point, because in the end, children may learn something and have nothing to show for it other than their learning. They might not have a product to show, but they've learned a lot. And we have to be very careful to make sure that we're looking carefully enough, or we might um, um, see a lack of product to mean a lack of learning, when really that's not accurate at all. I attended my daughter's kindergarten student-led conference where she took us into the classroom and guided my wife and I through the different stations that she does every day in kindergarten, and we got to see her learning firsthand. We didn't need any reductionist data or in a report card or even shorthand in grades. Instead, we were brought into the classroom to actually see for ourselves and let her learning speak for itself. And there was a time when we got to sit down with the teacher as well, and we went through together my daughter's learning portfolio. And I could see in it, one of the examples were triangles she drew in September. And I could look at it and compare those triangles to the triangles she drew in April. And I could see that the ones in April were better. I didn't need anybody to tell me that they were better or how much better. I got to decide that for myself because the learning was visible. It was very transparent. It wasn't hiding behind a report card with grades on it. And I think that ultimately this is why public assurance and accountability is really about transparency. Let the learning speak for itself. Bring the public into the schools, or get the schools to get out to the public. Either way, when we have parents who are clamoring for more information, I think what they're really telling us is, please make the learning more visible. They're not really asking for more grades or for more tests, but they just want to see the actual projects. This is why in Alberta, we've dropped the grade 3, 6, and 9 provincial achievement tests. There are standardized tests. And I hope that we have the courage in Alberta to see that our new tests shouldn't be tests at all, and that they should be projects and performances collected in a learning portfolio that can be shared with the parents and the public to make the learning visible.